Hey there everybody, Mazarok here, and today we've got Augmentation Evoker, the Beginner's Guide. Now this is a supplement to the Beginner's Guide to Evoker where I went over the class side of the tree. This time we're going to be going over the spec side of the tree, going over a few notable talents. Well, I don't quite have a build yet. Just due to the fact that I really want to test this on live. I'll give what I think could be some starter builds and some starter ideas, but things are probably going to differ in, what sort of content you're in, who you're running it with, because Augment Evoker is all about buffing your allies. So this might mean different abilities are better for different sorts of allies, right? Of course. This is the first real support class that we are going to have in the game, and I am incredibly excited for it, and I want to be covering this a lot more in depth. So before we do get into it though, please do like, comment, and subscribe. It goes such a long way towards helping out the channel. There's a Patreon link down below as well. This is going to be an early access video for my patrons. If this is something you're interested in, check it out. Support your small content creators. Discord link, Twitch link, all that fun stuff down below. All right, so Augment Evoker is getting a few changes to kind of its core class, kind of the core of Evoker. It's going to be changing some stuff around. We're going to be focusing today. So with Augment Evoker, you're going to be buffing your allies, and there's going to be a few abilities that are going to change. So if you've played Evoker at all in the past, whether it's Devastation or Preservation, there's going to be some changes, right? So Devastation and Preservation both have Disintegrate as an ability. That's going to get replaced in Augment Evoker. So let's get into the class tree and kind of see what goes on here. This is going to be what I assumed is going to kind of be the core ability for the core ability to get down to the capstones. Going forward, we have Ebb and Might, which is your new 30-second cooldown, which you increase your 4 nearest allies' primary stat by 15% of your own. And you are an intellect-based class, so this is something you are going to be wanting to chase as much as possible. Intellect is going to be very important because that's what's your primary means of buffing your allies, and everybody likes more of their primary stat. This will only affect 4 allies at once and will prefer damage dealers. Eruption, Deep Breath, and your Empower spells extend the duration of these effects. So that's the whole goal here, is to extend Ebb and Might as much as possible, to be buffing your allies as much as possible. The fun part about this, now we're going to be going into this more with a Mythic Plus mindset, but do know that this applies to a raid as well, because there is a tank, healer, and 2 DPS with you in a Mythic Plus composition, right? So you're going to be buffing a tank, a healer, and 2 DPS as well, yourself and with some of the things in the process. Eruption, this replaces Disintegrate. Now it causes a violent eruption beneath the enemy's feet, dealing volcanic damage, split between them and nearby enemies, and this increases the duration of your Ebb and Might by 1 second. This is going to be a core ability, not going to change. And of course, Essence Burst. Essence Burst hasn't changed with Evoker, but Living Flame has a 20% chance, and your Azure Strike has a 15% chance to make your next eruption cost no essence. So the more of these that you have, the longer you can extend Ebb and Might, because eruption costs essence baseline. Being able to cast it for free, big bonus. And this allows your Essence Burst to stack up to 2 times, which is really, really nice. We have Defy Fate, which is a cheat death on a 6-minute cooldown. Really, really nice. So what it is fatal attacks are diverted into a nearby timeline, preventing the damage and your death in this one. The release of temporal energy restores health to you and health to your 4 nearest allies over 9 seconds. The healing starts high and declines over the duration. So not only is this a cheat death, this is a party-wide cheat death if you start dying, right? If everyone starts running really low, this can give a nice little boost across the finish line. We have Breath of Aeons. Now this replaces Deep Breath from Preservation and Devastation and will extend Ebb and Might, or applies Ebb and Might for 5 seconds, right? So as you can read here, of course, this still removes all root effects and that sort of fun stuff there. But as well, so you fly to the target location exposing temporal wounds on the enemy for a period of time. Temporal wounds accumulate 21% of the damage dealt by your allies affected by Ebb and Might, and critically strike for that amount as arcane damage. So this spec is really all about allowing your team to just dump into them and just you being able to boost that and do damage out of it. So this will apply Ebb and Might for 5 seconds. Really, really nice, good to know. Breath of Aeons can also further be customized with 2 different options. So Breath of Aeons can reduce enemies' movement speed by 70% and reduces their attack speed by 50% for almost 12 seconds. This is really big. Reduced attack speed by 50%? That is huge. Your tanks are going to love you. But you can also choose Chrono Ward. When allies deal damage with temporal wounds, they gain a shield for 100% of the damage dealt. Absorption cannot increase 30% maximum health. If you've got pumpers, you could pretty much just give everyone a 30% absorb shield of their your maximum health. Sorry. Played correctly, both of these I could definitely see seeing play in any sort of scenario. Dungeon by dungeon basis. Which one would be better? Is it one where there's just a lot of rot damage, a lot of big hits? What's going on? But both of those could definitely see some play. And Upheaval. Upheaval is a new ability for the spec. This is an empowered ability, which will give you the higher it's empowered, the larger the yard radius. So you gather earth and power beneath your enemy's feet and send them hurtling upwards, dealing volcanic damage to the target and nearby enemies. Increases the duration of your active Ebb and Might effects by 2 seconds. So really, really nice. And the visual on this is absolutely gorgeous, by the way. We also have an interesting ability here, Timelessness. So you enchant an ally to appear out of sync with the normal flow of time, reducing threat they generate by 30% for 35 minutes. This is a one and done buff, so just apply it and you're kind of good. Just make sure if it's like a 45-minute run, let's say there's a dungeon that lasts that long, just reapply it. But this will reduce threat generation. I would be putting this on Devastation Evokers if that were it. This is going to be situational, really. Not every spec needs this, but it is nice to have it. So play with it as you need. There's going to be no damage gain or healing gain out of this, or tankiness gain. So this is something that you're going to want to go with from party to party, but this can allow some people to go a little bit more Zug, a little bit harder in the right composition. Seismic Slam. Now, if you hit Upheaval and then immediately Landslide afterwards, Landslide being a baseline ability that you get from the class tree with Augmentation, you're going to be able to stun those targets, which is really, really neat gameplay if you're quick and ready to aim enough with the right abilities. But this is going to be something, great in some content, not so great in others, depending on what you need. Volcanism, your eruption's essence cost is reduced by 1. Very important. This is going to be a very good baseline ability. Stretch time. While flying during deep breath, 50% of the damage you would take is instead dealt over 10 seconds. Now we have, if you've played Evoker at any amount of time, you have definitely deep breathed at the wrong time, right into a frontal and taken a large chunk of damage. This is going to help you. It's going to put a dot on you for 50% of that damage, allowing you to kind of compensate for some mistakes. So, really, really nice. Geomancy, as your strike, reduces the cooldown of Landslide by 1 second per target hit. Now, this is going to be nice if you are running Seismic Slam. The two pair very well together, so that way you can, with Upheaval being on a 40-second cooldown, you're going to be able to get more stuns in. Especially because Landslide has a 1.5-minute cooldown, but you can also opt into the 1-minute cooldown instead. Wormstone, bestow Wormstone. So this is a very interesting 1-minute ability. You conjure a pair of Wyrmstones. One for your target ally and one for yourself. Only one ally may bear your Wyrmstone at a time. A stone can be activated by the bearer who transport them to the other stone's location if they are within 100 yards. This just allows for doing some swaps, getting some quick portals, and just allows for some fun stuff. But I wouldn't be doing this in pure pug scenarios unless you're kind of asked to, or there is some sort of strategy that comes based around this for certain specs, because this could be a waste if nobody ever uses this, right? You have a lot of things to augment and have fun with, but it can also be a wasted button if no one ever presses this or uses it properly. Once we get to the middle capstone here, there's 3 new interesting abilities. There's Spatial Paradox. This is a healer cooldown, so on 2 minutes, you can evoke a paradox for you and a friendly healer. This will always be a healer, allowing casting while moving and increasing the range of most spells by 100%. Healers will love you for doing this in certain times. Like, for example, I can think of the first boss in Brackenhide Hollow. If the Rage Storm is kind of coming around, got baited bad from anything, and is coming towards them, and they have to get some big heals off, you can press this, allow them to just start spamming heals on the go. I mean, and extending their range by almost 100%. And this is most spells. This is huge quality of life for healers. You are going to be loved for pressing this at the right time. There is Draconic Attunements. Now, this is really, really nice. This is your choice on when you want them, and you can buff them. So the Black Attunement, you and your 4 nearest allies have 4% increased maximum health. Nice bonus. Or you can go with the Bronze Attunement to increase their you and your 4 nearest allies 10% increased movement. But you can also activate different ones to give you bigger bonuses on it. So Obsidian Scales activates the Black Attunement, which amplifies the maximum health increase by 10% for 14 seconds. And Hover activates the Bronze Attunement to amplify the movement speed increase by 25% for 4.7, sorry. Very, very nice, and used properly, you can just min-max these to a lot of fun. I think there's got a lot of skill expression to be said for this ability here. Font of Magic, your Empower spells maximum level is increased by 1, and they reach maximum power 20% faster. This I see probably being very good all around. And we have Blistering Scales. Now, this is for your tanks out there. So you protect an ally with 15 explosive dragon scales on a 30-second cooldown, increasing their armor by 30% of your own, which is really, I mean, armor's armor. 30% armor is nice. I mean, it's not the best thing in the world, but it's not bad. But melee attacks against the target cause 1 scale to explode, dealing volcanic damage to nearby enemies. This damage can only occur every few seconds. Blistering Scales can only be placed on 1 target at a time, so you can't place both tanks in a raid, but you can swap them around here and there. If you have 2 Augment Evokers in your raid, you each pick a tank, boom, done. And if you do not have a tank picked when you cast this, it will cast on your enemy's target if they have one. So, to be said, I would pick a tank. I would plan this out in a raid scenario, but luckily in Mythic Plus, you're only 1 tank. Just make a macro, or done, mouse over. You always know what you're doing, and have it done there. Now, you can boost this up as well. There's Regenerative Chitin, which Blistering Scales has 5 more scales, and Casting Eruption restores a scale. This just as a quality of life of, instead of you constantly having to press it every 30 seconds, but I mean, most of the time you're gonna be fine. Like, it's 1 global every 30 seconds, which is really not too terrible. But there's also Molten Blood. When cast, Blistering Scales grants the target a shield that absorbs damage for up to 35 seconds based on their missing health. Lower the health targets gain a larger shield. This can be used on tanks. This could be used on a party member of someone that just gets trucked and about to get trucked again. You can immediately swap your Blistering Scales over, give them a big shield for a little bit. You'll lose out on some damage, but it gives you a healing option at your disposal, but it can also help with the tank and help with the healing of the tank. If they just took a big hit, refresh Blistering Scales, boom, done. I'm probably going to be playing Molten Blood because the shield is really sizable and is really, really nice, but I think this is going to be more of a gameplay matter of which one you like. You also have the option here of Unyielding Domain, which upheaval cannot be interrupted, which is more of a PvP thing, and has an additional 10% chance to critically strike, which is actually really good for PvE. Tectonic Locus, upheaval deals 50% increased damage to the primary target and launches them higher. Really, really nice if you just want to gain some more damage against one priority target and kind of being able to focus something down. I could definitely see the both of these coming into play here, but I will probably thinking Tectonic Locust might be the better one, but we'd have to see kind of how it plays out and kind of go around there. So that's kind of the basic of the tree that we're going to be seeing going into the Capstone region, but there's a lot of interesting things along the way. So we'll just kind of fill this out and pick some stuff. There's no rhyme or reason to what I'm picking here. Oh, by the way, so we'll just pick stuff going along here. All right, so we're going to start on the right side of the tree because this ability I think is going to be pretty much mandatory all the time, which is Prescience. 12-second cooldown. You grant an ally the gift of Foresight, increasing their critical strike chance by 3% for X amount of time. Affects the nearest ally within 26 yards, preferring damage dealers if you do not have one targeted. So this is one that you're going to want to be picking a target and moving things around. Now, you can't quite get full uptime on 2 targets, but you can bounce back and forth if you want. Anachronism, Prescience has a 35% chance to grant Essence Burst, which is really, really nice. So you can hit Prescience, hopefully get an Essence Burst, get a free Eruption, and kind of keep trucking along, right? Fate's Mirror is very, very interesting as well. So Prescience grants the ally a chance for their spells and abilities to echo their damage or healing, dealing 15% of that amount again. Really interesting. I kind of like how these are going to go down. Again, I haven't really tested these in a group environment that I'm happy with, so we're gonna have to wait till it goes live for me to be able to kind of push this out. Ignition Rush, Essence Burst reduces the amount of time. Essence Burst reduces the cast time of Eruption by 40%. So not only does it make it free, you make it cast faster, which means you can get into making Ebon Might just last longer. Accretion is really interesting as well. So Eruption reduces the remaining cooldown of Upheaval by 1 second. Upheaval being your new Empower spell. This, I think, works really well and synergizes with the rotation and the kit. Overlord is fun. I do not know how this is going to work, but I really like it. Deep Breath casts an Eruption at the first 3 enemies struck. So really, really nice. I like it. It's fun. It's really fun. We have something like Hoarded Power, which Essence Burst has a 20% chance not to be consumed. Inferno's Blessing. Now, we still have Fire Breath in the rotation as well, which is really, really nice. And Fire Breath grants Inferno's Blessing for 9.5 seconds to you and your allies affected by Ebon Might, giving their damaging attacks and spells a high chance to deal fire damage. So this is just, you do your rotation, you throw your Fire Breath out, and more damage can even ensue from that. So there's a lot of buffs to kind of upkeep and move around, but that's why we're playing this spec, right? Is for buffs. That's what we're doing. A lot of fun there. There's something here that I also like, which is Plot the Future. Deep Breath grants you Fury of the Aspects for 15 seconds after you land without causing exhaustion. Fury of the Aspects being Bloodlust. Every 2 minutes for 15 seconds. Really, really strong. I like this a lot. Momentum Shift is also very interesting. Consuming Essence Burst grants you 5% intellect for for a period of time, and stacks up to 2 times. I love this. Is really, really good. I like this Essence Burst, and we like our intellect because that buffs the primary stat. It just gives it buffs all around. Reactive Hide is also interesting. This is going down the Blistering Scales tree side here. Each time Blistering Scales explodes, it deals 10% more damage for X amount of time, stacking up to 10 times. So this can actually deal up to 100% more damage. With the right tank, you could get some real value out of this. And I think especially a tank that likes chain pulling, this could, if the numbers are right, this could go really, really nicely. Modes of Possibility is also very interesting as well. I don't know how this is going to work in pugs, but in organized groups, this could be something your friends fight over. Essence abilities have a chance to form a mote of diverted time near you. Anyone who comes in contact with the mote gains 10 seconds of reduced cooldown to their major ability. Who doesn't want more Boom? Who doesn't want more Unga? Who doesn't want more cooldowns? Yeah. Anybody who knows this exists is going to be looking for it and is going to be fighting for it. I love where this is going. Lastly, we're going to go right down the middle of the tree. I did not skip it, but it is called Time Skip. It is a 3-minute cooldown which surges you forward in time, causing your cooldowns to recover 1000% faster for 2 seconds. You can further change this to make it 3 seconds instead of 1. So this is going to reduce your cooldowns kind of significantly enough. Like, it's not going to like reset your 2 minutes, but it's going to take a nice chunk off your lower cooldowns. This could really allow you to get Ebb and Might back up quick, Upheaval, Prescience, and allow several Presciences to be out at once. When played properly, this is definitely going to be a true version of skill expression and how well you can buff everyone, which was going to be really, really fun. But with how good everything else is, being able to do this every 3 minutes on a burst might be something we might see more in Raid, but it would have to be heavily planned around in Mythic Plus, where not everything lines up all the time, but could be worthwhile. You can also just straight up have a version of it where the cooldowns of your spells are reduced by 10% at all times as a passive. So that is Augmentation Evoker. I'm going to have a lot of fun mix matching a lot of things going all around here and moving things around. I am going to be putting up a build, my favorite Mythic Plus build, a few days after the patch launches. I have an idea of where I want to go, but before I recommend anything, I really want to test it with my friends on a live setting where I've always found PTR testing things to be a little bit different, right? But that is Augmentation Evoker. That is the beginner's guide. Everyone should know the tree well enough and the things that you're going to be wanting. You can also offer a little bit of off healing. Sorry, Symbiotic Bloom and Dream of Spring and Prolonged Life can increase the healing. So Emerald Blossom increases target's healing received by 3%. So this is just straight up an increased of healing received by all healing. Really, really nice to help out your healers, and your effects extend. And the effects that extend Ebb and Might also extend Symbiotic Bloom. For 2 points, by the way, let's take this out of Prescience, it is 6%. I kind of forgot the healing side of this. My bad. You also have Dream of Spring. So, Emerald Blossom no longer has a cooldown, deals 35% increased healing, and increases the duration of your active Might effects by 1 second, but now costs 3 essence. So, kind of difficult to choose there whether you want a 30-second cooldown or no essence cost. If you want to go real big into the off healing side of Evoker, you can do that, and that is kind of your choice to go around. You'll have things like Bountiful Bloom, which will heal more allies. Emerald Blossom instantly heals you with Panacea, and green spells heal more. So there are some synergies on the class side of the tree that will work well with this, but I'm assuming we're going to be leaning more towards tank and DPS buffing while being able to also buff your healers, because I mean, you're in Mythic Plus, you're also going to be giving them a gigantic chunk of primary stat, right? Which is going to help. Source of Magic is also being changed around in like I discussed this in my basic Evoker video, which redirect your excess magic to a wild friendly healer for X amount of time. When you cast an Empower spell, it restores their maximum mana per level, but we're getting potent mana. This is what's really changing about it. So not only are you going to be buffing your healers in Mythic Plus, but Source of Magic increases the target's healing and damage done by 3%, which this is applied to healers. So you can just put this on as an extra buff, and as long as if you don't trust your pug healers, go around this side as Augmentation Evoker, but I'm mainly going to be playing Augmentation in group settings, because that's kind of where I think it's going to be best utilized. But we're going to work from there. But that is Augmentation Evoker. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Have yourself a good one. Are you excited for this spec? Because I know I am pumped.